here are the ECW icons at this point, but they've certainly started to make a name for themselves amongst the top guys in the WWE. We mentioned they're going to be in some of the main events that are coming up. They're the tag team champions. Um, Instagram a wrestling historian has always got some good questions, and they say, let's fantasy book here. If Vince McMahon hadn't sent you home, how would you have liked your role in the invasion storyline to play out? Thanks in advance.
What's his name?
Instagram a wrestling historian.
If he's such a historian, then how does he have the facts wrong? Did Vince really send me home?
No, of course, he's talking about in storyline. I hold their fate.
But literally, I will say this: I do believe there is a, Conrad. We chuckle, and I did HBQ radio, Conrad, Friday, and a guy in studio, a huge Conrad Thompson fan. Just that he listens to all your pods and this and that, and they listen to ours. He knew it dropped on Tuesday and this episode and that episode. But he was chuckling about, yeah, you were my guy from Memphis, but man, I hated you. All those, just the narrative. There's a lot of folks to this day thinks Vince fired me on TV, and that was real, like 100% real.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, it's the power of the business. It's the power of TV. It's the power of the narrative. I don't get too political right now, but there's that old saying: you can't put toothpaste back in the tube. Once it kind of starts going out, I've saw some comments as of late when I'll say some kind of debate that folks would say, "Yep, the people that bought into the narrative of, I'll just say kind of TNA LOL that we've chuckled about. Once it kind of starts, there's some folks that maybe tap out, maybe get a job, maybe get quit watching, get off social media, whatever it is. But their opinion's already made up of who Jeff is, what he's about, and if they miss 2 or 3 years or 4 or 5 years, 6, 7 years, they don't know a lot of ground in there. And that's just kind of the nature of the business. And here, as we see back on camera again, Vince and Tori Wilson. So this is either the 6th or 7th time, but no, back to the historian's question. He said, what would it have been? What's the exact question? What role would I have played?
What would you have liked to have done? We know that we're going to see The Undertaker working with DDP. We know we're going to see Booker T working with Stone Cold.
So the hindsight's 2020. What I would have loved, just because I believe it was set up in a way that he fires me on national TV. Somehow, some way, Shane Stephanie rehire me. But basically, I'm on the return, and I'm going to be the, I don't say just mouthpiece, but I'm coming to get revenge. And I am a part of one of the faces of the heel WCW brand. I think that would have fit right into it. I mean, just in so many ways, but let me be my Southern accent. I'm the, antagonist to the New York brand, City Slick, WWF, and everything that went with it.
We're seeing some surgery footage here. It's still amazing to me that here you are all these years into your wrestling career, and you've never had a surgery. Like, I need to knock on wood again. My goodness. But this is about Chris Benoit's neck surgery, which was done by Dr. Mark Youngblood. Youngblood's describing the damage. And then, of course, we get some of the footage of the procedure. He's going to say it took 3 hours to do this surgery, but it went well. And he's basically going to say that, well, Benoit's going to be out for a year. Is that the most devastating type of surgery that you remember wrestlers talking about? Like, how was this sort of neck surgery discussed?
So Dr. Adair, who was on with us, in this era, I was probably seeing him. I don't say once a week, but probably every other week. I was in a lot, and being with the mindset, as we talked about, kind of the preventive maintenance. Don't come to him after something's already kind of been broken and all this. But he would often kind of talk about, you got cervical, thoracic, and lumbar. But man, you get into that cervical area, you're not that lumbar, your low back, and thoracic, your mid. Not that those are walks in the park and all that kind of stuff, but you get up in that neck area, then you're really talking about grip strength and arms and everything that went with it. So um, he was he's the one who kind of educated me on, man, not just got to take care of it, just be hyper aware of not you just better be aware of your neck health. And when I would see guys like that, there was a man, how many guys have had neck surgery when you kind of look through the years? There was a run of guys that
Yeah.
retired.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's the reality of our industry. I'll say that. Oh, it's fake. Well, those surgeries damn sure ain't fake for those guys.
There you see Sean Waltman. He is the light heavyweight champion. I've always been fascinated why the cruiserweight thing seemed to work so well for WCW, but the light heavyweight thing never really takes off for the WWF.
Never.
You got to see both. Why do you think it worked one place and it didn't work another?
So I think I'm going to go back to timing's everything. And when Eric and Nitro and the branding and the cruiserweight, let me ask you a hypothetical. Would the cruiserweight belt gotten over as well as it did if you took the luchadors out of it? I don't think so. I mean, I think the luchadors help brand not just that belt, but the product. But I think they were integral into the cruiserweights. Man, all these cool moves. And did you see Psychosis do this? And did you see Ray do that? That I think in the DNA of the product of the brand was the cruiserweight title, and you immediately thought, probably subconsciously, you thought, oh wow, Rey Mysterio, Psychosis, whatever other luchador kind of mixed in there. And in the WWE brand, you're going to lead front and center with, you always thought of Hulk Hogan's catchphrases: say your prayers, take your vitamins, the big guy dropped the leg. So you didn't really think of a cool move. Then you get into the 90s era, and the work rate became a little bit more, but it was still the promo and the look and the persona, and the Hitman's got his glasses and all that. WWF, I never attempted to brand their product. They never focused on in ring. I'm not saying up to this point. I'm not saying modern day, but up to this point, Conrad, would you say WWF focused on in ring quality stuff as a tip top priority? Yes, they did, but I just don't think it's a tip top priority.
No, they had a reputation. WCW had a reputation for the undercard being outstanding and really weak main events, Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper and the like.
Yep.
The WWF, on the other hand, had a reputation for having really fast matches of little to no consequence, lots of gaga, lots of emphasis on story, lots of backstage skits, and a main event that was pretty kick ass. So a strong main event with a weak undercard, the exact opposite of what you got in WCW.
Yeah. And I think going back to this exact episode, the clash of the brands, the consumer, the buying audience knew that better than us, or as well as us. And I think that in and of itself made them regurgitate the main event.